Buddy, Sunday. This is my second attempt at recording this video. The first one I thought was a little rambly. This one's probably going to end up being rambly too. But, you know, nothing too special haul-wise. I wasn't able to go to the shop Wednesday. And I'm probably not going to be able to go to the shop this Wednesday because they changed my schedule at work. But I did go Thursday and pick up my new books. And I might be able to go out today or tomorrow and do some digging because I'm off today and tomorrow. But anyway, new books. I'm sure you guys have all read these already, so I'll just kind of breeze through them pretty quick. I only got 4, and I found something and I wasn't sure if I'd shown it already or not, so I'm going to show that too. Starting off Saga issue number 21. I really like this issue. Psycho Janitor Robot Man. Who saw that coming? This has turned out to be pretty good. It's a little different than it started off as. I kind of missed the stuff with the Will, but you know, it's Brian K. Vaughan. I'm sure it'll all come back. I got Trees issue 3. Warren Ellis is still doing his world building thing, but I'm excited to see where this goes. So, and I'm digging the art a lot more than I thought I would. It reminds me of like the preview I've seen of J.H. Williams III stuff on Sandman Overture, so I may pick up some of those. Afterlife with Archie number 6. I would have preferred to get the regular cover. I'm just not that big a fan of these pinup teenage girl covers. It's just not my thing. But this was a really good read. This was one of my favorite issues thus far. The whole Lovecraftian spin on it, and it was kind of cool to catch up with what had been going on with Sabrina since she got banished by her aunts for resurrecting Hot Dog. It's a conversation I never thought I'd say or have. New issue of Velvet. Absolutely love this book. If you guys aren't reading Velvet, they're only on issue 6, so I would highly recommend this. It's very old school James Bond with a female protagonist. This is great. This art is amazing. Epton, he's really shining on this. I mean, sure, the Brubaker Epton Captain America stuff was good, but this is just amazing. The art in the interior is better than the covers, but I would really recommend that. I'm not sure if I showed this or not. They put it in my box last week. Okay, there's that. Now, on to this. I was thinking about taking a page out of ETA's book and doing a spotlight video. But rather than like an artist spotlight, I was thinking about doing one on a writer. So I opted for Peter Milligan. I'm just showing this X-Force 116 for, I mean, this is probably recently, at least, his most noteworthy stuff. I know he did the first arc on Justice League Dark, and I'm bidding on some of those right now on eBay, so they might make an appearance in one of my future videos. But back to Peter Milligan. I became aware of Peter Milligan way back when he was doing Shade the Changing Man for Vertigo with Chris Piccola. This book is amazing. It ran 70-something issues. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I can't remember. But the interesting thing about Shade the Changing Man is we go way back to 1989, 1990. Alan Moore was doing Swamp Thing, and DC was very happy with the work he was putting out, so they decided to find other wickedly talented UK gentlemen to revamp other books for them. So they put a bunch of people in a room, and out of that we got Grant Morrison's run on Animal Man. We got Neil Gaiman. This was handy, so I pulled this out. Neil Gaiman, brilliant stuff on Sandman. This is issue number 2. This book's in great shape. My issue number 1's upstairs on my desk. And Peter Milligan decided to do Shade Changing Man. Now, I'm sure not a lot of you are aware of Shade the Changing Man. He kind of disappeared off of DC's radar after the run, after this series got canceled. I think it was issue 76. But prior to that, going back even further to 1977, the wickedly talented, self-marginalizing Steve Ditko came out with this gem. This was an 8-issue miniseries. The first issue was drawn and written by Ditko. Ditko did the art in the remaining issues, but someone else came in and did the dialogue. So I guess he did rough outline and breakdown, and then someone came in and filled in the word balloons, like Loeb's, or crap, what's the guy's name? The guy that did the dialogue for the Max. Issue 1 is really wordy, but it's the introduction of this guy right here. This is Shade. He wears an M vest. He's from a parallel world where he is in prison for treason. He eventually escapes to the Earth Zone to clear his name and bring vengeance upon those who wronged him. I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry. He wears his M vest. His M vest is a bit of a force field, and it also warps reality off of the mood of the people that he's in contact with. So if they're freaked out, he's going to come off as this big, bulking monster. Otherwise, it's just pretty much a force field. It's very cool. And there's a little bit of like reality warping in this book as well. So this is, I wanted to show you guys something really quick too. I thought this was funny. I pulled all these out the other day and was flipping through. I read them, and it's great. It's just the dialogue is kind of bad, and at least the first issue. But okay, so you have Shade, and he is pursued by his ex-fiance, and they have an agent in the Earth Zone who is kind of like her point of contact when she shows up to track down Shade. And this is where he lives. Can you guys... I just thought this was funny. Look at that window. Is that showing up? What does that remind you of? Anybody? Anybody? I just thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, Shade the Changing Man. Not my favorite Ditko. It's cool to find the DC stuff that he did. I'm a bigger fan of The Question than I am this version of Shade the Changing Man. So this is issue 2. This is his ex-fiance. She's pissed at Shade because there was an accident and he ended up crippling her parents. So her mission is to negate Shade. This is issue 3. You can kind of see the start of like his Mr. A stuff, I think, in this. Or like even the art books he's putting out now, the kind of minimalist approach that he's taking. Excuse me, this is definitely a precursor to that. I mean, this is still 77. This is number 4. This is probably my favorite cover in the series. Right here, this reminds me a lot of Wally Wood. But I just dig it. Number 5, very cool. Number 6. Number 7, probably my least favorite cover out of the series. And last but not least, number 8. So that'll set us up for what we're actually going to talk about today. And that's Peter Milligan. So, like I said, he showed up on my radar when I discovered this book. I want to say there were like 12 or 13 issues in, and I just happened upon an issue, and then I went about tracking them all down. I finally finished this run. This was back in 94. So some of these books I even picked up off the shelf new. But I was missing a couple issues, and I finally did complete this run probably 2 years ago. So I'm very happy to have that done. And since then, I've been seeing a lot of Shade the Changing Man and the Dollar Bin. So if you guys are interested, and hopefully after this conversation you will be, I would highly recommend Shade the Changing Man. But back to Peter Milligan. Okay. His writing style, there is a lot of it deals a lot with depression or anxiety towards how you handle your own reality. I think it shows up probably best in this book right here. This is Enigma. He started this around issue 8 or 9 of Shade the Changing Man. Enigma ran for 6 issues. It is about a gentleman who lives in his own head, more or less, for the first part of his life. He grew up in the bottom of a well with friends that were lizards, and he just kind of developed his mental prowess. But he also has a bunch of... he's a bit of a narcissist. He's dealing with, like, who am I in my own universe? This is issue 2. These gorgeous covers by Fagredo, who I think is doing MPH now, art-wise. At one point in this series, there's a villain that's introduced that will break into your house in the middle of the night, rearrange your living room furniture to the point that when you wake up the next morning and see it, it's so perfect that you kill yourself. So all these people are like hung up on Snowflame with the new Guardians. I'd like to see them top that. But like I said, this book, the lead character ends up being a little narcissistic. He eventually discovers or realizes that he's homosexual, and since he can manipulate people, he manipulates one of his friends into becoming homosexual, so the two of them can have a relationship. And that kind of provides closure for his psyche for a little bit. This is issue 5 and issue 6. It's really esoteric. It's character driven. There's a little action. This is probably closer to being a superhero book than Shade the Changing Man is, but it's really good, and the art is phenomenal. This is number 7, and then it finishes up with number 8. But this is when I started to notice the theme that Peter Milligan tends to go back to, and it's all how you relate to other people while you're trying to figure yourself out. There's a lot of like it's not just teen angst. There's a depression theme through it, and I deal with and suffer from depression, so this is something that I could relate to. But yeah, this was Enigma. I really recommend it. It's only 8 issues. You can find it really cheap. I'm not sure if there's a trade or not, but seriously, this is probably like $4 worth of books. So if you guys are just looking for something quick and easy and interesting to pick up, there you go. I throw that name in the ring for that. Enigma. Great stuff. So back to Shade. I'm not going to show all the covers, but the majority of the art was done by Chris Piccola. So you have the introduction of Shade. He's a little different in this book than he was in this one. Shade made an appearance. This Shade made an appearance in Crisis on Infinite Earth, but I want to say this is probably that was the last point that I had seen him in DC continuity. But I don't really read a lot of DC books, so I'm not sure. But he did make an appearance in Crisis on Infinite Earth. So this Shade, let me find a cover with a better picture of him. Yeah, we'll go with this one. Where is it? Yeah, Shade. It's not a vest, now it's a coat, and he can warp reality to whatever he wants. Okay, so this is issue 22. Back to this. We have issue 2. I really dig these covers, but it's not just about the covers. Let's talk about Peter Milligan. So touching on the same themes as he did in this, You have a person who is emotionally flawed, trying to find his way, basically. And the fact that his powers are what his powers are, it just kind of aggravates the whole situation. During the run on this story, Shade is killed off and reincarnated 4 different times, and each one of those times he has a different set of issues that he has to work through. This is issue number 6. So that's Peter Milligan continuing to explore the issues with this character, and I just thought it was interesting. It's not your typical superhero book, but if anyone out there is a big fan of, let's say, Preacher, I would recommend that for them. This is esoteric. This is a lot more esoteric than Preacher is. It kind of slows down a little bit, like with the quote-unquote weird stuff in the mid-20s, like issue-wise. And that's about the time that Chris Piccola comes back on the book and kind of really comes into his own art-wise on this. But there's, we deal with personal loss and rejection, his own issues, his own personal demons. And it doesn't really help that he can manifest his own personal demons into the real world. And I'm just going to flip through these to give you guys something to look at. This is issue 15. And some of my favorite covers are in the Shade the Changing Man series. It's just really good stuff. So, we started the theme with the dealing with your own personal demons in Enigma and in Shade. And then we kind of take it into a different direction. Where did I put them? When we get to... I was totally organized 5 minutes ago. What happened? This, right here. X-Force. And then eventually Ecstatic. A lot of people have been talking about the omnibus on this book. I would avoid the omnibus even if you can get it really cheap, because you can pick up this whole run of X-Force and then all of Ecstatic stuff relatively inexpensive. I didn't pay more than I think $1 for any of these issues, and the omnibus is what, $130. So you find that on sale at in stock, you're still looking at $60, but I spent $30 on the run. So, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do with their money, but this is just my suggestion. Now, Peter Milligan is still writing about depression and finding yourself, but with this series, the interesting thing about this story, at least, is these characters, this is all marketing. It's not marketing by Marvel. It's in the context of this story. This superhero team that goes by the name X-Force are all in it for the monetary gain. They worry about their Q rating and their sponsorships and everything else. Everything else kind of seems incidental. It's like they go on these missions and they're videotaped by dupe, and it's almost like reality TV superheroes. The mortality rate on the missions that these people go on is ridiculously high, and I think by the end of the first story, at the end of the book, at least in X-Force, the only 2 people on this cover that are still alive in the book are the anarchist and Hugo Girl. Everybody else is gone the wayside. This is Mr. Sensitive, or the Orphan, depending on what part of the story you're in. The later issues of X-Force, I'm not going to say more or less. He's one of the lead characters in the story. He is... Actually, she dies too. So at the end of Ecstatic, the anarchist is the only one that's still with us in this. Yeah, because she gets replaced by Venus de Milo. But you have Mr. Sensitive. So he's called Mr. Sensitive because he's super sensitive. He has to wear this suit that Professor X made for him just so he can exist like in the real world. There's a fight scene between him and Iron Man in a later issue, and they decided they're going to do it mano a mano without suits. So it's like he does pressure point stuff against Tony Stark, and Tony Stark just like throws like blades of grass and stuff at him. It's hilarious. It's kind of weird, two grown men rolling around naked, but it's a lot of fun regardless. That's the one with Iron Man on the cover in ecstatic. It's worth picking up. And I'm not really an Iron Man fan, but it was just a lot of fun. So back to Peter Milligan in writing. You have a character who is dealing with his own emotional problems, and his psyche is one of the things that is the basis of his ability. So this Mr. Sensitive is super sensitive. So he has problems with depression. At the beginning of the book, he's suicidal. He's trying to find his place in the world. Like this guy was trying to find his place in the world. Like this guy is trying to find his place in the world. They all go about it in unique and interesting ways. I'm not going to say he rehashes ideas. It's just he has a concept that he likes for his leads, and it's something that I appreciate. Now, I haven't read Justice League Dark yet, so that might be a little different. And I know that he is doing a new book for Vertigo that I just saw in their free preview thing. But yeah, this is issue 18. So, as far as content that I have that he has done, I have some of the issues that he did when he was writing Hellblazer. And those are really good too, but I don't want to pull them out right now. But yeah, this video is a little different for me. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, because I might do some more of these, especially since my hauls are going to be crazy small here in the foreseeable future, because I'm not going to be able to go to the shop. But thank you all for the support. I've picked up some new subscribers in the last couple of days, and that's been awesome. So thank you guys for that. And Incredible CJ just did a contest entry for my contest that ended. Regardless, that was super cool on your part, man. I enjoyed that. And you guys totally have to go check out Davidus Raconis' contest video. It's great. His contest video. You got to go check that out. It's perfect. It's the greatest idea for a contest ever. And don't bother to enter, because I'm going to win that thing anyway. But yeah, so thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.